I think we're live. We're trying to set up this camera properly. Is everyone here? Let's see.
People popping in.
Fingers crossed the camera doesn't fall. Oh, right there. I think that works. Emily, what do you think?
Great.
Hi, everyone. Okay, I'll give it a couple seconds for people to join. Emily Culver and I here from Palm Springs, California. Hi.
It's really hot.
It's really hot and we're outside, so I'm sure by the end of this you're going to see sweat perspiring off of us. For those that don't know, Emily Culver is one of the writers of Station 19 and the writer of my first episode I ever directed, my directorial debut, titled Dirty Laundry, and also a very dear friend of mine. And Maddie compiled all the questions from what people have asked on the question box, and we've narrowed it down and talked about it, and we're like, okay, these are the questions.
We got them.
And so we got some questions for Emily, some questions for me, and some questions for both, which I don't think we decided. Did you want to do the questions for both first? Or the questions for one of us?
Might as well. It's
Okay.
like a segue into individuals.
Okay, great. And as on par as my usual in the summer, we're on hiatus. We drink Aperol spritzes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so we'll get right into it before we start sweating. Questions for both of us. Do you want to read the first one?
So how long does it take to make an episode from start to finish submitted by Maddie?
How long does it take? To make an episode from start to finish. So you have 8 days of prep.
Yep.
But I mean, writing is a different thing too, and you have to add how much time do you have to write it?
Usually, I started working on 16 in January. Like as soon as we got back from winter hiatus.
And just to give context, we didn't shoot it till March. Beginning of March.
Yeah, we like to give the writers as much time as possible to break the story, do outlines, beat sheets, multiple drafts, to get notes from our bosses, and then it goes off to production where we get more notes and prep.
And things constantly keep changing up until the last second.
Yeah, they're like, this doesn't work. Can we change it? It's like, yes, absolutely.
And some stuff just doesn't work logistically, too.
Yeah, like locations change things, actor availability changes things. You name it, it changes something.
Yeah. It's very, like, I'm glad that we have that amount of time. And also, too, in the writing process, you guys all work together as a writing team, correct?
Yeah, it's very collaborative. Like, everyone gives notes on beat sheets, outlines, first draft, second draft, and then you compile all the notes. For me, if I get the same note more than once,
that makes sense.
Then it's something that I know I have to look at because it's not translating the way that I thought it was in my head.
That's so smart.
It's just like making sure everyone's on the same page and we're telling a cohesive story, and yeah.
It's interesting. I feel like I kind of do that with directing if I get a note from more than one person. But anyways, I'll continue with how long it takes. So she started the writing process in January.
Yes.
So that was about, you basically had 2 months.
Yes.
Of the writing process.
Yeah, which segues into a question. What was the inspiration behind this episode, and what were the original creative thoughts that helped you come up with the story?
That was your question, right?
Yeah, it was a question for me. And when I got back from winter hiatus, I had COVID, so I actually don't remember my process. It was leaning really heavily on my peers for guidance to help me like make sense of the jumbled mess that was my COVID brain. Like it was not
well,
a fun first month.
I have to say, whatever it was, the episode is absolutely fantastic. You delivered a beautiful, dramatic, eloquent, dynamic,
more adjectives
script that I can't wait for everyone to see. But yeah, I think I can't wait to see the next one when you don't have COVID brain.
Me too.
And like
COVID brain is the worst.
Yeah.
And it was my first time having COVID, so I actually had no like reference.
So you were just like, this is how I feel, and I'm just barreling through it.
Yeah.
Was that in January? That was right at the start of it?
Yeah, I got back from a wedding and had COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I remember that.
It was pretty awful.
And going back to the question when you said, like, how long does it take from start to prep to post?
Yeah.
So her writing process, it sounds like, is about 2 months.
Yeah.
And then from the directing and production standpoint, we get 8 days of prep. On our show, we do 10 days of filming, which shows vary.
Yeah.
Right? Am I getting the numbers
I think
right?
we did 9 days.
Did we do 9 on it?
I think we did 9.
With one double up? Or no, with 2 double ups.
2 double ups. First day is always a double up, and the last day is always a double up.
We only did 9 days?
Yeah. So a double up is just mean there are 2 episodes shooting at the same time.
Yeah. So you split your crew.
Yes.
So on the first day and the last day.
On the first day of an episode, you get the main crew, and on the last day of the episode, you generally get the second crew.
Yeah.
Which means it's like people we haven't necessarily worked with as much, but
we cycle through a lot of
it's generally the same people. So halfway through the season, it's
the people you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 10 days of that, and then the post process goes on until the day before it's it's submitted to the network, basically. But that's multiple different things. As a director, mine ends. How long does the editor get?
4 days?
4, is that it? 4? 4 business days, and then I get 4 business days to edit my director's cut, and then I submit it, and then the producers have their notes and their cuts, and then it goes on to network and stuff like that. So it's a very long process, but the short of it is her process took about 2 months, and my process takes about, what's 9 plus 8 plus 4?
I don't do math. I was an English major.
It's like 21 days, so 3 weeks. So 2 months and 3 weeks. There we go. Okay, that's a very long answer to that one. What's the next question for both of us?
Was it just random that you two would be writing and directing the episode together, submitted by Pia?
Was it random? I mean, it's always random.
It wasn't random. I did ask if I could write.
I wasn't sure if I was able to call you out on that.
I'll say it.
And I really appreciate that, because I was like, you get nervous. It's my first time directing, and like I'm friends with all the writers. I love all the writers on the show, but obviously, what happened? The dynamic is that the writer is with you on set every day.
Yes.
And I really felt comfortable, obviously, having Emily be there every day on set. And I think I really value and trust your opinion. So I knew at Village, when you gave notes and stuff like that, that our visions and our creative styles very much align.
Yes.
So I think that's what helps us and makes us a really good team.
And I just wanted to test out what it would be like to work with a friend. Does it destroy friendships or enhance them?
There was one, remember right before we started, we were both like, yo, I wonder if we're going to kill each other.
Yeah, one of our friends was like, so what's your first fight going to be about?
That's right.
I don't think we fought.
And we didn't. We actually, when it came down to it, we respected each other's creative insight and thoughts. Mm-hmm. And also there was a balance.
Yeah.
Like, you'd give notes at Village, and I'd be like, I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And she was always right. Always. Every time she was right. She gave a note, and every damn time, and I was so pissed, because I'll admit when I'm wrong. I will hands down always admit when I'm wrong. And she'd give a note, and I was like, I don't think I like that. I'm going to give the note, but I don't like it. And then I would do it and give the note, and I'd be like, damn you, you're right again. It's actually better. Every time. So yeah, we didn't actually have any fights, any disagreements.
No fights.
It was a great support system too.
Yeah.
For each other. Okay. Next question.
Oh, I don't know. I have to unlock my phone.
What's the process of collaboration like between the director and the writer from script to screen? Oh, we've kind of touched a lot of that, and that's from P. Scalene or P.S. Colleen? Colline?
I don't know.
P.S. Klein on Instagram.
Sorry, we're butchering names.
We are butchering your name. I'm sorry. So what was the process? We kind of touched on all of it.
Yeah. Like prep isn't just the two of us. It's every single department. It's our bosses. It's our advisors from the firefighter standpoint, from the medical standpoint. And they're telling us what is possible. Can we flub reality a little bit to make it look really dynamic when
we're going to flub reality. The question is, how much flubbing are we going to do?
And it's just like post-production, VFX, every department, special effects.
I was going to say makeup, hair.
Yeah, like everyone
wardrobe.
is a part of it so that they have ample time. Oh, and set deck and art department, like costumes, everyone who
There's anyone else I'm forgetting.
puts their stamp on an episode is a part of it so that they can tell us.
Props.
Huge
Props.
Definitely.
every department has to play a part, because when on the day with those 300 people that we have as part of the crew that make all of this possible, it all has to make sense and everyone has to be on the same page.
Yeah.
So during prep, you have the heads of every department, like Emily just said, sitting down in a ton of Zoom meetings and a ton of in-person meetings and a ton of scouts where we go check locations out and decide where we're going to film, and then how is logistically this going to all work, even transportation and vehicles, and how are we going to lay everything out. And so there's a lot of moving parts, and in prep, it's not just us. It's not 300 people because it's the heads of every department, but it's the head of every department that then overlooks 300 different people.
It's like 50 to 60 people on every
Zoom
meeting.
Yep. And you're constantly running into obstacles, and and as a team, as a collaborative team, you have to decide how you overcome them or fix them or figure out how script-wise, how are we going to make this work.
And then it's like, if we choose a location, what do we have to change based on the location?
Yep.
Are we...
Which happens a lot.
On budget? For budget.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
But it plays a huge part in terms of like rewrites and locations.
It does.
And all of that.
There were some scenes that had to be condensed. This was a very big episode, and so there was a lot of scenes that had to take place at a specific location. And we did more location days than we've done all season long. So that was, number one, it's a big expense, but also how do you scale that down, the scenes that were there, to try to make it all make sense and make it doable.
Yes.
And that was great because it was 100% doable at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, when we're on location, you really only have daylight, unless it's a night shoot.
Yeah.
So you have very compressed hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, it has to be able to fit. You have to be able to shoot everything because there's no going back.
Yep. And I was going to add to, which I'm sure production loves too, because you have hard out.
We love a hard out.
Love a hard out. But from a directing standpoint, I think too, I then had to think, how do I shoot this the most efficient way?
Yeah.
Which I love. I loved thinking of like you'll see when you watch the episode, like the steady cam shots and like the crane shots, and like how do you make those transitions work so that it flows really well, but it's also very efficiently shot, which for me, when you guys see the episode, I kind of had to shoot it a little bit like a mini play.
Yeah.
Because everything needed to be tied together. So you think of ways to write it and direct it and every other department in order to make it all possible on the day.
Did we block shoot? And what is block shooting?
Block shooting is where you shoot one direction. Well, there's directional block shooting, but that's basically what you're referring to.
Yeah.
So directional block shooting, where we basically decide to set up the cameras and shoot one way. We didn't directionally block shoot.
We did.
The incident.
No.
We directionally block shot in the other scenes.
Yeah.
Not at the incident, though.
No, not at the incident.
Yeah. No, we directionally block shot. You'll see I posted a picture yesterday so people know that there's at least one scene that takes place in Grace Sloan.
Okay.
I'm making sure I don't give any spoilers. So when we did some hospital scenes, we directionally block shot them. Yeah. Meaning we put the camera on one side of the line, shot all of the footage that had to go that way for a total of I'm not going to give anything away, for a couple of scenes. And then you move the cameras to the other side and then do all of those exact same scenes from the other direction. So it's really hard on the actors because they have to remember the lines for all the scenes and then actually revert back to their emotions and how they were feeling in the first scene. So it's definitely something you have to ask the actors if they're willing to do and prepared to do and want to do. Because it really is their choice at the end of the day, but it does save time. Sometimes it actually depends. A lot of directors, it's kind of back and forth. For me, I felt like it did because there was only basically one actor's whose coverage I was getting on the other side, so the turnaround went really fast.
The turnaround went really
But that
fast.
day was the longest day we filmed.
Yeah. Also, shout out to our art department and set deck.
Oh my gosh!
For the scenes that she's talking about, we didn't film at Prospect. We filmed...
They don't know what that means.
We didn't film at Grey's Anatomy. We filmed on our stages, and they built
a
exact replica, and it's perfect. Like, they're just the most talented people.
They really are. Our art department, our construction team. Yes. Everybody really, but we're going to rave about everyone.
Oh my gosh.
Transportation for this episode, too.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, what was the even question that we started this with?
What's the process of collaboration like?
Oh, it's amazing. And without the collaboration of every single department, it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
Like, it is 100% a very collaborative process.
Yeah. Like we get credit because she's the director, I was the writer.
Yeah.
But it's really, we wouldn't have television or this episode without every other person that put it together.
It's the perfect example of that saying, it takes a village, because it really does take a village. And actors get so much credit when it's like, it took so many people, and actors, I have to say, we just show up and we say our lines. I mean, listen, we gotta work some emotions every once in a while and do some crazy stuff, but like, really, it's just we show up and say our lines. There was one question I know for me that actually ties into this question, though. Was this directing an episode like this? No, what's the difference between this one? Oh, yeah. What's the difference, because we're talking about this, what's the difference between directing a short film and an episode of TV submitted by Alessandra? Honestly, the scale is much bigger. So I was actually more nervous to shoot my short film than I was to shoot an episode of television, because I had so much support from so many different departments, and all I needed to do was be a leader. All I needed to do was tell people what my vision was and what I was planning, and they did all the things. When I did my short film, I had a team of people, but I was making decisions, but it was on such a small scale that I had to wear multiple different hats, and that was harder. And I was honestly financing it too, so you have the pressures of, this is all your money, and so the stress of that. It was just, I had way more stress on my shoulders, because so much more relied on me for my short film versus an episode of television. Yeah. I really was able to step back and just be a director, and then an actor when I had to act. Yeah. So that would be the difference.
Well, what's great about TV too is, like, if you're not sure about something, and even I do this on sets, like, if one of my producers is there and I feel that something's not working but I don't know what it is, I can ask them too. And that's the thing, it's like, you just have so much support.
I knew that was going to happen at some point. It's not. The wind started to pick up. But yeah, you have so much support.
We all have so much support. Like,
I don't know if I'm going to stay now. Stay. Yeah, that's the a huge thing with television.
Yeah.
And we have such an amazing crew on our show that you can trust everyone's opinion.
Yes.
So it's kind of nice that you can look at anyone. I remember after every take, I'd look at you, Amanda,
our scripties,
one of our script supervisors, Amanda,
and Sharon.
Emily, writer. Sharon's our other script supervisor. Who else did I look at in the village? You, Amanda, Sharon,
Darren,
and
Darren, our DP,
Darren, our director of photography. Nothing would be possible without the director of photography, and that's That's actually, once filming starts, the most important dynamic a director and a DP that have to have, because you're the one. I can't. Some directors know everything about camera and everything about cinematography, but a lot of directors, it's not a requirement. Your job is just to kind of plan the shots and have a vision and to tell a story. But the director of photography is the one that tells the camera operator how we're going to accomplish it. They say what equipment we're going to get, the order in which we're going to shoot it, because they also can say what's the most efficient way of shooting it, because they know how long it takes to set up certain things. So anyways, that's the most, once we start filming, I'd say that's the most important dynamic during the actual filming process.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I got on that. Next question.
Okay, we've got one more for the both of us.
Yeah.
What were your initial thoughts when you first watched the final cut of the episode, and what were some of the responses and feedback you received?
This is for both.
Yeah.
So we see different cuts. What's the first cut you see?
The director's cut.
Okay. So the first cut I see is the editor's cut.
Yep.
So, okay, it's official. We have to get rid of the La Croix.
Perfect.
Brought to you by, listen, when you're on vacation, you don't bring your, iPhone setup.
No.
So, what was the question?
Cuts.
Oh, the cuts.
The first cut you saw was your editor's cut.
So, no, people warn you, but, like, when you first see the editor's cut, it's scary, because you're seeing the first compilation of everything. Oh, are you watching over there? She saw. Macy, come in and say hi. You want to come say hi? She puts her glasses. Hello. Macy's watching it inside the house. She's like, I don't know if this will help. This just holds up a mirror.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying for you to put the phone on it. Behind the phone.
Behind the phone? Oh, like this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Maybe?
Oh, maybe.
Oh!
You're so smart.
How are you so good?
And pretty.
It's
It's not fair.
It's not. I love you. That was amazing. I'm so in shock right now. This is where she just gave us like one of those like magnifying mirrors that you use when you're putting on makeup or tweezing hairs or something.
Yeah.
And it works great. Anyways, Emily sees the director's cut first. I got the editor's cut. It's really crazy to first see all the stuff put together, and you're so scared, like, oh my god, did I get all the footage? So my reaction at first was like anxiety, because I saw it all together and I was like, did I get all the pieces? Why does this not flow? But you don't have any of the VFX. You don't have any of if there needs to be ADR lines, or there's not proper lines, or like something didn't work out the way you thought it was going to play in your head, but you've got to sit in the editor's room and like play around with it. So when I first got the director's cut, it was a lot of anxiety at first because it was my first time seeing it, but Sandra, our editor, is absolutely fantastic and killed it, knocked it out of the park. And so really, I just had to do like the first time director thing where I had to go through every scene and torture her with like notes and thoughts and ideas and like, can we try this? Can we try that? Can we try this? Because I was so anxious, when in the end, her editor's cut was very close. So it was just fine tuning different takes and kind of different arrangement of stuff. The biggest shift was there's a montage, like we have in every one of our episodes, where it's a compilation of beautiful scenes over music, and I'd say that's the only thing I really adjusted significantly, was the montage. And then you get the director's cut. So how do you feel? What's your process when you get the director's cut?
I mean, I loved it. I didn't have very many notes at all. I think I had 2. I had 2 notes.
I didn't even know that.
And I passed my notes along to my producer, Peter Page, who then
Hi, Peter.
Who then goes in and gives every episode his magic touch and
That is an understatement.
helps finalize everything.
Yep.
I don't know, I didn't really have any.
Yeah. Which I was so happy. So
I loved it.
At the end,
I cried.
I cried too.
Yeah.
I cried, and it was an episode. I was like, God, I cried the most when I read the script. Yeah, but Peter Page, going back to that, is absolutely amazing. So I hand off the director's cut. I get the 4 days, I hand it off, and then Peter works his magic. And so you really, as a director, you don't have the final say, you know?
Correct.
But I have to say, like, Peter made the episode better with the changes he made.
I agree.
Which is beautiful. Because I knew he would. I was like, what's Peter going to add to this and make this different, or what scenes he's going to take or rearrange the scenes. And he did a huge rearrangement of scenes at the end of the episode.
Do you think the biggest challenge in editing is also taking time out of the episode?
Yeah, I mean, you have to fit a certain time to deliver an episode for network television. So it has to be a certain time.
42 minutes.
And is it 42 minutes exactly, or 42 minutes and seconds?
42 minutes and like 19 seconds or something.
Some very specific number. And episodes are always going to be over because you want them to be over. So you have extra footage that you can cut. But I started with being I started with 6 minutes over. And I think... And I had to and I tried to cut all that as much as possible so that it wasn't having to be in Peter's hands to like cut stuff. Although Peter's like, Danielle, don't do that. Just like, don't worry about time. But I did. And I was trying so hard. So when I delivered it to him, it was like a minute and 30 seconds over. And then he had to figure out how to get that minute and 30 seconds out. And he did brilliantly, because when I watched the cut, I was like,
I
what
didn't
did he
notice
cut?
any changes.
I didn't either. I was like, what did he actually cut out of here to make a minute and 30 seconds go away? But it was actually a lot of fun, and what's cool is you cut stuff, you miss it, but then you realize it makes the episode better, so you're like, oh, it actually works. But I think both of us, him and I, there was no significant scenes cut, which is what you want to avoid. You really want to keep the integrity in the scenes in the episode. But you just trim air, like if people is too many pauses, or just make stuff faster, cuts quicker and stuff like that. So that's, it's daunting to do, but I actually had a really fun time deciding like what to cut. And then every time you cut little things, it actually makes it better.
Yeah, I love post-production.
Yeah, it's fun.
So much.
Music though is not my strong suit, I will say. I know directors that they hear the songs in their head while they're directing and shooting it. And I don't do that. So hopefully over time that becomes a thing. Okay, what question we got next? Is this my turn to ask you a question?
Sure.
Who comes up with the titles of the episodes? We'll still going faster because I know this is going long.
Writers come up with the title.
And do you want to explain the title of the episode?
So originally it was titled Easy on Me. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't know, we title our episodes after songs, just like our sister show.
Some
Grey's
people
Anatomy.
might not know that. So interesting.
And originally it was Easy on Me, but one night I was driving home, I think from your house, and Don Henley's Dirty Laundry came on, and she's obsessed with Don Henley.
I love Don Henley. For anyone that doesn't know, now you know I love Don Henley.
And the title fit the theme of the episode, so I was like, oh, I'm just going to make it a Don Henley song.
And I tried really hard to put Dirty Laundry in the episode. Although I didn't submit that as my director's cut because I was like, I don't know how well received that's going to be taken. Not because the song's not great and amazing, but more like it doesn't really fit the style of our show.
Yeah.
So I had to take it out, even though I did have it as the opening song for a hot second.
You did.
But anyway, so that's how they come up with the titles. What was the, did we say what was the inspiration? What was the creative?
Yeah,
That's when you said you had COVID brain. What is it like for the writer once filming starts? What role do you play on set? We touched on it a little bit. Anything you want to add to that?
It's really just...
Sorry, that was from Megan. I'm sorry. That was from Megan on Instagram.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh, and who comes up with the title is Nadine. You asked that.
Oh, thank you for saying that too.
Yes.
I missed that one.
What's it like for the writer once filming starts? I mean, it's really just trusting your collaborative partner at that point. And
that's me?
Yeah, the director.
I was like, is that me?
It is you.
Confirming.
It is you. And it's like we have tone meetings in prep that really our bosses tell us, like, this is sort of what we're envisioning emotionally for whatever scene. And it's just like making sure we stay on the same page, no one forgets anything, and fine-tuning performances if need be. But I didn't have many notes.
I mean, every note you had was brilliant. I can now say in hindsight. I mean, they were brilliant on the day too, but I would fight them sometimes. I didn't fight them.
That goes into this question for you.
Where was it? Here?
Who gave you notes on the scenes that you're in, and how was it navigating that? Submitted by Lauren. Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so as you guys know, I had to direct myself. I mean, they try their best, especially for first-time directors, to write us out of episodes as much as they can so that we can really just focus on directing. And I want to say thank you, you tried, but I was in the episode. And more than I think I expected, even though early on I will say I was like, put me in the episode, I can handle it. And then I had to direct myself, and I was like, oh boy. To answer the question quickly, is the person that gave me notes on my scenes when I was acting them was Emily. And I don't think I loved that.
She really didn't.
So we have moments. There's a scene, I can't wait to talk about it once the episode airs, and I'll remember to say the story where the one with
yes, I know exactly.
And I was like, no, I hate that note. I'm not doing that. And she's like, will you please just do it for me? It seems like that thing you're doing doesn't fit the scene. And I was like, I disagree. It feels right. And I asked the other actor I'm in the scene with. I was like, right, it feels right. And she was like, just do it for me, please. And then we did it, and it ended up in the cut, and it was the better version, and all your notes are brilliant. It was interesting because as an actor getting notes from anybody, I'm fine. But in this situation, because I was the director and acting, it was hard. And you didn't have to give me a ton of notes in regards to, I did get playback on a lot of days we had scenes. So I was able to watch the performance and then adjust performance based on watching playback, which is basically just like, you're watching the scene back on the day, which is not normal. You only get that. You have to request that.
Yeah.
So I got that, but when we were on location, I didn't have that. So the scenes I had on location, I had to trust Village, which I did completely.
Yeah. And the thing is writers don't give actors notes. We give directors notes to give to the actors.
Valid point.
But I didn't have that luxury in this instance.
You had to tell Danielle,
to tell the director, who was the actor,
what to change.
And I was like, I don't do this, so I'm just going to tell you what my thought is.
There you go. I just needed your face. And I appreciate it, and it worked. But yes, that was the first time. I usually don't fight notes, and I was just like, fine, whatever, I'll try it. And you were right. Xavier, hi Xavier. Xavier's on. He just texted
Hi,
BB. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? What are your favorite type of scenes to write, and what are the hardest? And it doesn't say who that's from.
What are my favorite scenes to write? I love scenes either that are going to make you laugh or are going to make you cry.
So my episode was the whole crying one then.
Yeah.
I think they were going which one, like, really laughable.
There are certain, like, you guys watch the show. Travis and Vic are hilarious, and they're just so fun to write. Even in their serious scenes, if you can sneak a joke in, it's like one of my favorite challenges of like, how can I add levity to whatever serious thing, because they're just so, I mean, everyone's so talented, but like when it comes to the comedy and the comedic timing, like the way that they play off of each other, it's seamless, and they're people that when I'm on set, I'm like, if you make it better, do it your way.
Yeah, I have to say, like, the opening, there's a scene early on that has them both in it. And they're so great in it. Yeah. And it was really just a scene of, like, everyone kind of talking over each other.
Exactly. And it's serious, but also funny, and those are, I think, my favorite
scenes to write.
Yeah.
And what's the it said favorite and then hardest,
What
right?
are the hardest? The hardest ones are just when I can't see it yet. Like, if I just can't picture the people in my head moving around, then
I get a little writer's block, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, what is this scene supposed to be?
Yeah. Well, it's just like finding the words. Sometimes I just can't figure out what they're feeling or what they're saying, and so I go sit in my bathtub and
That's right.
talk to myself as the characters until I figure something out.
I love that.
Yeah, all their voices are in my head. It's pretty fun up there.
This one is, how would you describe Danielle's directing style?
She's very type A. Like, she knows what she wants, which is amazing because it's so helpful for everyone. Asks a lot of questions to all of the correct people, make sure everyone knows what's happening, but very type A. And I am not, which actually I think is why we work.
Is why we work so well.
Like, if we were both super type A, we would have just butt heads the entire time.
Yeah. No, is that what I am? I'm type A?
Oh. Yeah,
I mean, I'll take it because it worked for being a director, but I don't know if it's like a positive trait.
It's not bad. You're very organized. I mean, that's just what it is. Like,
Yeah.
You're very organized. You know exactly what you want. You know how to articulate it. You know how to advocate for it. You know how to collaborate if you have to, like, take a step back in terms of your vision or adjust, pivot. Like, it's good to be type A because then
I'll take it then.
you know what you want, and then when stuff changes on the day, because it always changes
It
on
always
the day,
changes.
you know how to pivot.
Yeah. Even though internally my brain was going,
I have photos of that.
I'm gonna post a picture of, like, the many faces of a director. You know which one I'm talking
Yeah.
about? Where there was, I mean, you keep it all internally, but
Yeah.
there's a couple days that it showed on my face. Okay. Sorry, we're going over. Well, let's see. What other questions have we? So I did all your questions.
Yep. What is a day in the life
Oh, is
of
this now these ones?
directing an episode look like, Danielle? Submitted by Sky.
A day in a life from prep to post. I'm trying to think of how to make this quick. I mean, it's I wouldn't say stressful. If there's a lot of pressure, so it doesn't feel. It didn't feel stressful because there was so much planning and organization, and everything was so well laid out.
My hands are sweaty.
So my armpits are starting to sweat really bad. But I think stressful in the sense that you knew you were basically the second the day starts, it's a ticking clock. Yeah. You have to be wrapped by a certain time. You have to get all the shots. So you kind of start the day off with, like, a lot of anxiety more than anything to just get that first stuff, but you can't show it. So I actually was having to act a little bit as a director because if you show it, it influences everyone's attitudes. It influences the crew, the actors. If they feel like you're flailing, they're just going to lose faith in you. And then the day starts going downhill.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of anxiety to get a lot of things done and to make sure that you're making sense with your notes and your direction. And so I actually love it. And I find it really exciting. And I love the challenge of it all. So
Yeah.
exciting would actually be what's a day in a life? It's exciting.
Well, and also every night you would go home and work on the next day's challenges.
Yeah, the shot list. Yep.
We get a schedule ahead of time of what we're shooting and on what day. Mm-hmm. And so every night you would go home and start designing the next day's
Well,
vision.
thank God I designed them all in prep.
Well, yes.
But then, yes, the night before or the 2 nights prior, I would build shot lists that then I would send to the entire crew, mainly the heads of departments, depending on who wanted to read it and use it.
What's a shot list?
A shot list breaks down exactly what it sounds like, but it breaks down the shots for the day. So what I'm visualizing, what I want to shoot, the shots that we have to get to tell the story, and then some kind of creative shots that would be nice to get from a director's standpoint. So God forbid the day's going over, you can cut those creative shots, sadly. But I don't think I ever there was only one shot. I didn't have to cut it. I actually forgot to shoot it. That was a creative shot that I wanted to get, and I'll explain that. I'll try to remember, too, to say that. when it comes time. It was just a cool little shot I wanted to get that may not have been used, but I didn't on the day, just didn't get it.
Well, how is that? Like, you spend all this time designing these, like, super creative shots.
Mm-hmm.
And then how is it, like, deciding if they're going to get used? What happens if they don't get used?
It's nerve-wracking. There were a couple, when the montage got moved around a little bit, like, from a directing standpoint, creative standpoint, the montage is the most, I think, you have the most freedom.
Yeah.
Because you're basically creating a little dance of images to play with music. No one has to say words, so you're not relying on, like, telling a story. You're telling a story through just through visuals at that point. And so you have the most freedom to kind of get the more creative, but then when you get into the editing room, some of those creative shots may get cut. So that's heartbreaking, but all mine stayed. I think there was only one creative shot that got removed. Only one. And I did get sad about it, but it was still just as good. So I was like, it's okay. We'll talk about it after, because we can't say it on here. But yeah, I think that was the question.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the creative shots, but honestly, so many of my transitions, which is also where directors get to be really creative, stayed. A lot of my transitions stayed. I did a lot of wipes, a lot of swipes, a lot of, really cool shots that actually ended up staying from scene to scene. So I had a blast. Oh, face.
You have to open.
Oh, sorry.
Swipe it up.
Okay. What's the next one? We did that one. We gave you notes on scenes. We did that one. Oh. You want to say it?
What new information did you learn about your castmates after directing them? How did they respond to you as their director? And were you able to get a more intimate look at their personal acting styles?
I was so scared to direct my fellow peers. I was so scared. Because it's the only thing that, like, it feels like the thing I'm closest to, but it's also like, I don't know. There's just a weird moment of, like, am I going to offend them? Am I going to say the wrong thing? Like, I hope that I direct them well. Like, you have to work with them on a day. I mean, the crew too, but, like, actors, my fellow actors I'm with all the time, doing scenes with all the time. And so, God forbid I say something wrong or do something wrong or offend them or, like, give a note wrong and insult them. Like, I was nervous. And I was also, even though I watched them for years and have worked with everybody for years and understand how people like to be directed, I think I've picked up on that really well. I was still scared as to if it was going to work on the day. And I have to say, our cast is fantastic.
Yes.
Like, they're all such fantastic actors who love their job and are so passionate. And they all showed up for me.
They did.
And, like, delivered, and it was beautiful, and it made my job so easy because everyone was off book, knew their lines, which is, I mean, normally we do, but there's sometimes where there's hiccups and, like, some people have hard days.
Yeah.
But, like every
you could
single
work all day the day before,
and
then you're just, like, zonked, and it's harder to memorize stuff that night.
So, but everyone really brought it because they knew it was my first directing.
Yeah. And they were so excited. They celebrated you the entire time.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was quite an amazing experience from that. So it was scary, but in the end, after I directed the first scene, although my first scene was the hardest scene to direct, and I'll talk about that too after the episode airs. The hardest scene to direct was my first scene. I was in it. It was the hardest scene to direct. But after that, it was a walk in the park to direct them. That was probably the easiest thing, was to direct them.
Yeah.
I did.
Was it harder to direct guest cast or your castmates?
Oh, that's the other thing too. Yeah, so I had guest cast, and that was easy once I started, but it was scarier in a different way because I didn't have any insight as to how the people wanted to be directed. I knew that they could do the scenes because they auditioned those specific scenes that we were shooting. I knew how they were going to deliver lines. I just had to get them there exactly what they did on the audition tape. So it was easy in a sense because we knew the mark to hit, whereas series regular actors, you don't know how they're going to play the scene until they get in there and play it. But everyone always elevated the scene. So it was all scary at first, but the second that first take was done, directing whether guest stars or series regular actors, it was easy. It was really easy. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of, did I respond? Were you able to get a more intimate look at their personal acting styles? I just respected them more and more after directing them, because I also weirdly validated me. Like, I think I was so nervous. Every actor has a different way of being directed from the director. And I think across the board, which was really nice to hear, is everyone said I gave really good directing notes.
Oh, good.
And that felt really good to hear, because I know how I like to receive notes, but everyone's different. And so it felt validating to hear people say I gave good directing notes. But I don't think there was like a Yeah, I've watched them for so many years. I don't think guest stars it was great because you pick up on. No, actually, there was scenes I'm remembering now that like an intimate look on the looks that the actors gave when they weren't talking.
Yeah.
Was like amazing and beautiful, and I captured so many of those moments that you don't see when you're actually doing scenes with people, because those the little moments when people are just making reactions.
There's one shot
enjoyed that.
a guest actor had
I know
a
what
reaction,
you're
and
talking
none of
about.
us noticed it on the day until we were watching the edit. And
The actor was
she'll explain more.
fantastic.
But yeah, they were phenomenal. Everyone was phenomenal.
But that one guest star who actually didn't cast, he's from the original episode, from the episode before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, am I not supposed to say that? Is that a
I don't
spoiler?
know.
Not say anything. I didn't say that.
didn't say
Okay,
anything.
wait, we're way over. Okay. 3 minutes. We're gonna finish this up. What was the most? That's a question for me. What was the most challenging, most rewarding part about bringing? Oh, I do want to answer this. What was the most challenging, most rewarding part about bringing Emily's script to life? The pressure to not fuck it up. Like the
I wasn't
script
concerned.
was so beautiful. It made me cry. Everyone that read it from the crew, because everyone gets it at the same time as me, was like calling me up, being like, "This episode's amazing. It's huge."
It was big.
The scope of the episode is huge. So you didn't go easy me on that in that regard, which I'm very happy you didn't, because it was a challenge. But I just didn't want to screw it up. The pressure to really not screw up your episode and to bring it to life and to like make it as the most interesting dynamic and really elevate it as much as I could from a visual standpoint.
And she did.
Thanks, Emily.
Absolutely.
Thanks for writing an amazing episode.
Whatever.
So that was the most challenging part, was just not to screw it up. And the most rewarding part is that I didn't.
Absolutely did not. Absolutely did not.
It was really rewarding to shoot it, to go through the process, to get the feedback we got, to see the reactions of people that saw it. And I think in the end is why we were like, we're a really good team. Yeah. It felt really good. So I think rewarding too that, like, number one, we stayed friends through the whole process.
That was helpful.
and it's an amazing episode.
But
What
you'll
were you
work
saying?
well with anyone.
I hope so. I mean, I'll be scared. Obviously, it was easy because we know each other and we have a
Right.
shorthand.
Right.
And all the other writers are fantastic too. But like, I think obviously we don't have as much of a shorthand, so it'll be more having to get to know each other. I mean, some of them I'm very close with.
I think
but
you'll be surprised.
just how easy it is.
Yeah.
I probably will be. But yeah, I love you and thank you for an amazing script.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for bringing it to life.
How long does it take to make an episode? We did that one. Was it written by you two?
We did all of these. I
We
think.
did them all? That's everything.
Mhm.
That's everything! Okay, 45 minutes. We went over by 15 minutes. Sorry.
Were we only supposed to do a half hour?
That's the plan, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sweating so bad though, so we have to go anyways.
I am sweating.
The bangs are sweating, the armpits are sweating, the legs are sweating.
The legs are sweaty.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. The amazing Emily Culver, writer of Station 19.
The amazing Danielle Savre, Maya Bishop, director,
All the things.
Station 19.
Station 19. Thank you so much. I'm just now getting delusional. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. We had a blast. I cannot wait for you guys to tune in Thursday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Also, International Firefighters Day, which I was like, this might be the most... Did you know that?
No, I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah.
So one of the fans posted it, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is so cool.
International Firefighters Day is May 4th, and that is the night that our episode airs. And 8 p.m. obviously on ABC or wherever you guys see it in the world. Please tune in. Please tune in live. I'll be obviously live tweeting and giving as much BT as I can. And me and Maddie are combining or compiling some like fun things to do for people that watch live. So I'm really excited. And I'm really excited for you guys to see Emily Culver's, what number is this? Sixth episode?
I don't know.
Sixth episode, I think, so far?
I don't know.
I'm so excited for you guys to see this episode. So a beautifully written episode by Emily
Fifth.
Culver. Fifth episode? Her
No, it is the 6th. You're right.
sixth episode. I thought
She
it was
knows better than I do.
She never says that, so I'm going to take that as the end of this live. Thank you guys so much. We're going to go inside where the air conditioner is. We love you all. Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I'm not going to drop the phone again.